The history of the high-heeled shoe. Every little girl remembers raiding their mother's closets and searching for props to play dress up. We would stand in the mirror wearing our favorite pair of high heels and dream about one day owning a pair of our own. For many girls, the first pair of high heels was often a rite of passage. Our opinion of high heels was influenced by their evolution of style and changes created by society. High heels are seen as the greatest fashion symbol for women, but do we know why this is? I will tell you about the origin of the high heels, the evolution of different styles, and the symbols represented throughout history. Marilyn Monroe once said, "I do not know who invented high heels, but all women owe him a lot." Like Marilyn said, we do not know the exact origin of the high-heeled shoe, but to our knowledge, they date back as far as around 4000 BC. According to the article High Heels in the History magazine, the Egyptians painted murals that depicted themselves wearing high-heeled shoes. The first recorded use of high-heeled shoes was not until 1533, when Catherine de' Medici wore 2-inch high heels to increase her height during her wedding. High heels were then widely introduced to the public in the late 1500s and were made extremely popular by King Louis XIV of France when he made the heels fashionable for men in the late 1600s. The heel increased in popularity, which created the want for diversity and led to the changes in style. The first high-heeled shoe was the Chopin, which was first introduced in Vietnam. The shoe was a platform shoe that elevated the heel as well as the toe. They were created to keep the wearer's feet from getting wet or dirty. The Chopins were extremely high, with a very thick sole made out of wood or cork. And in some cases, the heel reached as high as 20 inches. This created an awkwardness in the wearer's walk and made them unstable when walking alone. The women that wore them were usually accompanied by another person that would help them with their balance. The high Chopin platforms were a symbol of social class as well as showed their level of nobility. Eventually, the style spread to other parts of the Far East and Europe. The Chopin was later outlawed by the Venetian Republic because of the dangers that they imposed on the people that wore them. According to the article Dangerous Elegance, A History of High-Heeled Shoes, in 1791, high-heeled shoes disappeared with the French Revolution. Napoleon also banned high heels as an attempt to create equality. Despite all of these laws, in 1793, Marie Antoinette was executed while wearing 2-inch high-heeled shoes. It was not until the late 1850s that high heels made a comeback. By 1867, the French shoemaker François Pinet introduced a new shoe with a straight, more slender heel, which was known as the Pinet heel. This was the first evolution of an actual heel shoe opposed to the platform shoe. The invention of the slender heel led to Oliver Cromwell's invention of the Cromwell shoe. The Cromwell shoe was created from inspiration from 17th century Puritan fashion. The shoe reached a height of 6.5 inches and were made of carved wood covered in fabric or leather. The Cromwell shoe was also known for the signature Cromwell buckle that crossed over the top of the shoe. The high heels continued to have widespread popularity among women. Then the style changed during the 1920s. When skirts became shorter, this led to the want of a more slender high heel. According to the article The Stiletto, it wasn't until the 1950s that Christian Dior collaborated with shoe designer Roger Vivier to develop a narrow-heeled shoe called the Stiletto. The slender heel and narrow toe created height with chic and strong symbolism. Even though stilettos were quite popular, they were often banned from public buildings because they would cause physical damage to the floors. This was a problem until television series were released such as Sex and the City, that stilettos went from just an accessory to a societal obsession. They were occasionally referred to as limos for ladies and were considered a luxury. They became a key element for any wardrobe for generations young and old. The dramatic style changes led to the evolution of the symbol and status of high heels in society. According to Forrest Gump, Mama always said you could tell an awful lot about a person by the kind of shoes they wear. Well, I wonder what Forrest Gump's mama would say about men being the ones to make high-heeled shoes popular. King Louis XIV made high heels a fashion statement for men. He was relatively short, and coupled by his tall white wig with high heels, he created an illusion of height. He was known for wearing high heels with a red bottom. These were a symbol of status and power. They were only worn by people of the royal court. This remained the custom until the late 17th century, and then after, only women wore high heels. Although the experts are not positive of when high heels first came into existence, there is evidence that they were worn by the Egyptians as early as 4000 BC. It is clear throughout history that even though the high heel styles have changed and evolved over time, they have always been viewed as a symbol of status and social standing until now. High heels were first made popular by men and are now a key element of a woman's everyday wardrobe. These changes made it possible for every little girl to play dress up and dream about owning her own pair of high-heeled shoes one day.